So I have tried learning Japanese probably like 20 plus times. And each time I start learning, I get like all excited about it. I go for, a couple weeks, maybe like a month or two, and then I just get burned out and I stop. And I've repeated this cycle like so many times, each time with like a different curriculum or a different method or tweaking this or that. And I cover like a lot of the same things that I already knew and maybe get like slightly further. But in 5 years of doing this, I don't know Japanese. I am not conversational whatsoever. I'm not at N5 level. So this fall, I am hopefully going to Japan, COVID allowing, and I'm studying Japanese again and hoping to be N5 level by the time I get there. So these are the things that I've kind of put together and been processing in thinking about why I've been so terrible at sticking with Japanese in the past and what I want to do different this time so that it's different. So there's kind of like 3 different things. They're all like different aspects of the same thing. They're all like pretty connected. The first thing is I realized the task of learning, especially as an English speaker, the task of learning Japanese specifically is just so much bigger than my brain can even comprehend. Like learning any language is a huge task, but especially with Japanese, like going into it, I don't even know all the things that I need to learn. The easiest things to talk about are like, okay, there's grammar and vocabulary and like speaking and reading, and some of those are like kind of connected. But like even within that, I feel like every time I start studying one of these things specifically, I learn more about what that involves. So like grammar, there's so many different structures and particles, and like I feel like every time I sit down to like read, I've learned a new way a particle can be used in a sentence, and it's like, oh, well, I thought you said that like when this is like this, it means this, and it's like, oh, well, no, but also like it could be like this because it's like this. And so there's just so much, and the more you learn how much more there is to learn, and that can be kind of discouraging sometimes. So the second thing is I'm the type of person that I like to do something all at once, or I just like don't do it. So if I have like some project that I'm super excited about, I'll just like grind it out, like just work on it, hammer it over like a whole weekend. That's all I do. And then I'm just done with it. I don't like work on it anymore. And I think that's something I learned from high school and college, because in high school and college, you're not really that motivated. Some people are, but in my experience, and I certainly was not motivated by the big picture of like, oh yeah, dude, I'm super excited to get my high school degree. Like I'm just ready for that. That's what's motivating me. No, it was kind of the institution and the people just expecting me to complete small tasks. So my professor's like, hey, I need this paper by this date. And I wait until the last minute and I just get the paper over with because it's like an annoying task that I just do. There's definitely a part of me that was looking forward to graduating and knowing that that was a good thing for me, but that was not motivating anything that I did. And if it was, I think I would have lost focus like immediately as soon as things got hard. The only time that I've ever been able to do something big has been, I was just so excited and inherently motivated by it that I would just like grind and do it all night, and then like the next day I would still be excited about it, and then I'd just like grind on it some more and do it some more. And so long term, I ended up actually doing it consistently because I was so motivated by it and didn't get burned out by doing it repeatedly for like crazy long periods of time. But unfortunately, Japan or learning Japanese doesn't really fall into either one of these categories. There's nobody telling me I have to learn Japanese. You can, unfortunately for me wanting to learn Japanese, you can live in Tokyo and not really know that much Japanese. There's English signs, English maps, people can understand like, hey, where's the bathroom? They can show you where the bathroom is. And it's also not something that I'm inherently motivated to do every day because studying Japanese is not interesting constantly. It's a lot of what feels like busy work and just like grinding, but not in a fun way, just like going over the same words and like, oh my gosh, this is such an easy word. I've seen this a million times. Why can't I remember how to pronounce this? So kind of the final third thing is I realized I need a mindset shift. Having this really small-minded goal of, I want to be fluent, whatever that means, just isn't enough to motivate me on a daily basis. To know Japanese, what that actually means is that you are a Japanese learner. You just are someone that studies Japanese regularly and is learning more about it constantly. It's not just this like amazing, fun, glorious state where you're just magically fluent. and you just got there after a couple weekends of studying. So it's like a mindset shift where I have to take pleasure in the process, essentially, and understand that nobody ever learned Japanese by studying for 10 hours a weekend, like once a month, which is kind of what I was doing. Everybody who's learned Japanese, the way they did it is by studying every single day. That's what it means to be a Japanese learner. And so understanding that and saying, is that who I want to be? The pros are I will learn Japanese eventually, but the con is I have to put in that work. And is that the kind of person that I want to be? Yeah, I think so. And just like figuring out what that means for me. So I think practically for me, what that looks like is just tearing down barriers to me studying. So instead of me making all of my own flashcards, I have to find images for each word. I have to find sound clips of someone saying each word so I can like have that in my head. Coming up with my own sentences to say. It's just so much work. I would spend like 90% of my time doing that. I'm just paying like a monthly fee for a service that's basically doing all that for me and just like feeding me the learning process. I'm not necessarily going to recommend like exactly what I'm doing for everyone, but I would definitely recommend, even if it costs money, if it's worth it to you, finding some way to use that money to cut down the work that you have to do so that you're just like intaking knowledge and just spending that time like really concentrated, just purely learning. So I kind of also took that philosophy for this. I'm just using like my $5 webcam and an old mic that I have laying around so that I don't have barriers to making these videos. But I don't know, I think it'd just be cool to kind of document my progress a little bit and just talk about the things I'm thinking and learning as I like go through this process of learning Japanese and hopefully visiting this fall.